welcome to my channel. My name is Daryl, and this is Programming in Any Language. We're currently working in C#, but everything we do here can be done in Java, Python, and virtually any programming language, as you'll soon discover. Today we have another decision structure. I believe I first encountered this statement in the Foxborough language a while back, but I'm not sure. In some languages, it is called the case statement. Others, as in C#, the switch statement. It's known as a multiple alternative. It's a hard one to say. A multiple alternative decision structure, and it's hard to translate. What that means is it allows you to test the value of a variable or an expression, and then use that value to determine which set or set of statements to execute. It does a whole bunch of blocks, basically. Sounds complicated, but it's not. It actually simplifies a set of long, drawn-out if-else-if statements. Let's examine this more closely. Okay, let's take a look at the switch statement. The switch statement lets you take a value of a variable or an expression to determine which path of execution the program should take. It basically is a simplified if-else-if. It's a multiple alternative, as it says here, to the decision structure. It can be used as an alternative to an if-else-if statement that tests the same variable or expression for different values. What does it all mean? Well, if we do an if-else-if, it can be very, very complicated because you could have a series of, let's say, of the months of the year, January, February, March, April, May, June. You can interrogate and ask, is it a 1? If so, January. Else if, 2, February. Else if, 3, March. Else if, 4, April, and go on down the line. And you've got this big long string here of if-else-if statements going on, and it's got to go through that path. The switch statement is similar, but it makes it a little bit more attractive or easier to use and see when you're looking at it. Basically, here's the general format. The test expression is a variable of an expression that gives an int, a string, bool value. It cannot be a float or decimal. So an int, a string, or a bool can be in there. It would be set up something like this. You're going to say switch and put in that variable right here. So switch counter, switch month, whatever you wanted, int month or whatever. And then it goes down here and there's a set of statements down here, a case statement right here, which checks to see if that value is in case of value 1, it'll check this, and we could put down, if we were actually putting an integer like 1, 2, 3, 4, we could say case 1, case 2, case 3, so on down the line down here. Checking it, if it is a 1, it'll do the statements that are underneath this case statement. And when it's done, it'll break and go all the way out to the bottom and won't interrogate any of the rest of these things. So each case is individual. It's an individual subsection containing one or more statements followed by a break statement. The default section is optional and is desired for a situation when the test expression will not match any of the other cases. I tend to use the default anyway. It's a good way of ending it. If I was doing the months of the year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I'll go 1 through 11, and the default would be 12. So it would actually pick up December by simply, if it's not 1 through 11, it's got to be December, and go from there. But you could do it from the standpoint of, if you're not checking the integer that's coming in, you've got 1 through 12, but somebody might have typed in a 13 or a 14. Then you can use the default to kick out an error message. 1 is January, 2 is February, 3 is March, 12 is December, 13, error, month entered invalid, something of that nature. You can go and do that. Here's another case of how the switch is actually laid out. So you see that switch. We're looking at month right here. And here we're looking at January. In this case, we're not looking at integers. We're looking at a string. And so the month is coming in as January. Or no, we are looking at integers here because it's looking at case 1. And if it is a 1, it's going to kick out message box. It's January. 2, it's February. 3, it's March. And the default, if it's not 1, 2, or 3, it's something else. It's going to say error invalid month. So you'd end up using it like that. You can flowchart it like this. You've got a decision, basically. It is a decision statement. And so you're looking at what's going to happen. If it's a 1, you're going to do this, 2, this, 3, this, default there, and then you're going to go on and do something else. That's basically how the way it's structured. We'll take a look at this. We'll create a nice program that has a switch statement in it to kind of get a feel for how it would be used. That should have made things clearer. It's also cleaner. You aren't navigating through a big pile of spaghetti code. To really put this in perspective, however, it's nice to see this used as we actually build an application. Enter the magic 8-ball. Yes, it's the same magic 8-ball you might have seen in grade school. Someone always had one of these things. Well, thanks to the internet and computers, now we can all have one. And it's free. Let's build this thing. Okay, to show off the switch tape and how easy it is to and how nice it is to use, we're going to create a program I call the Famous Magic 8 Ball. What I've done is I've pulled off. Remember this 8 ball thing when you were a kid, played on the playground. You held this thing in your hand, you made a wish or made some kind of prophecy, and it came up with an answer on it. These are the answers. I pulled these things off the internet. It is certainly so. It is decidedly so, without a doubt, and so on down the line. There's about 20 of these things that the 8 ball will answer. And we're going to put these things into the program. And we're going to create an 8 ball with it. And we're going to basically go ahead and design this form. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my toolbox here and pull up a picture box. And be one right here. And we're going to put it right here. And we're going to kind of put it something like this, and we'll change the form size in a bit. And it looks roughly the right size. What I want to think about this picture box now, I'm going to give it a name, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it PBX Magic 8 Ball. So let's just go ahead and do that. This will be what the picture box is. We'll give it a name. From there, I am there. PBX Magic 8 Ball. And we'll go from there. And we're going to add a picture to it. So what I'm going to do is go to the property. I've got one actually hidden away someplace in a graphic. And I'm going to go and navigate to that. So I'm going to put my image on here, which would be my image property. If I need to highlight this guy and find the image, and be they're in alphabetical order. Image is right here. So we're going to go ahead and navigate to this thing. And it's on my local resource. So I took a copy off the internet. I pulled this thing and grabbed a graphic of this picture that I'm looking for. So I'll jump out there, and I want to just go up a little bit here into my graphics file, and here it is. And here's my Magic 8 Ball right there. So I'm going to pull that in, just a JPEG, no different there. And I've got it here, and I'm going to say OK to this. And there it pops up in my screen. Now it's not exactly. So I could change. I could actually adjust the size here, or I could do it in my taskbar if I wanted to. This might be fine if I might take it like this, and then maybe just, yeah, it looks pretty good. I might just actually keep it like this and work with it, and it's gonna be fine. So we'll leave it like that, and so it's been saved. I could adjust it if I needed to, but I think we're going to leave it the way it is right now. So what I've got here is the 8 ball, and I'm going to save this right now, so I've got it in hand. Check to make sure it runs. And it does, but my form's too big, so I'm going to shrink that down. So that looks good. It's the way I want it. Now let's go ahead and bring this form size down to what we've got here, and I can do that basically by taking this form and bringing it in to the size of the picture box. I've got that in place. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually create a click event with this picture box where it's actually going to put something out on the display. What I want to use is a random number generator to generate the numbers 1 through 20, or 0 through 19, whatever, 20 numbers basically. And each of those will correspond to this guy right here, one of these. They're going to be sitting out in my Magic 8 Ball text box. So we'll go ahead and bring that up. So we're going to, if it hits a 1, it's going to be it is certain. If, if something else, 2 is something else. And then I'm going to display that on here, basically. So what I need is a label right now. So I'm going to go ahead and create a label on this picture box. And we'll bring this thing in place. And there's our label. We'll bring it across here. And we'll make it large enough. First of all, we're going to auto size it, or take auto size off. And then we can kind of stretch this thing out and create our label. And so it displays our text nicely. And we probably want to make the background of this thing black so it disappears. So I'm going to take my back color, and I'm going to, that goes right here, give it a, yeah, black's fine. I'll use this thing right here. And then I'm going to make the forecolor on this thing white. So it'll display my text very nicely. And we'll make this thing, use a web color here too. Let's make it white. So it shows up nicely there. And just to test it, let's go ahead and, I think we've got something in here. There's the label showing up there now. But let's make that larger. Let's change the font on that thing so it looks a little better. Make our font maybe bold. And let's try 12. Maybe even bigger than that. That might not be too bad. We can take the largest item and stick it in here if we want. So we could take our I've got graphic over here. I'm just going to pull this concentrate. I think one of the largest ones is concentrate and ask again. So I'll just pull that and put that into the text here. And then see what happens. And that comes out nicely, but let's go ahead and center that. And we want it to be text aligned so it's in the center. Like that. That's going to look nice now. Right, so that looks great, considering. So we've got our label in place. So we need to give it a name. We'll call it label out. LBL OUT. And we're going to be good there. Now, as a programmer, I also want to see the number that the random number generator is generating when I run this program. I can turn that off later, but I want to kind of put it in place now. So I'm going to grab another label and put it out here and just put it down here for now. And I think we can leave this thing auto size and leave it the way it is because we're going to make it disappear in the long run. And we'll call this little guy, we'll call this thing label random. So we can kind of put that number in there when we see it. LBL random. And that's going to be sitting there. So I've got the label random sitting here. I've got this label called label out, and I've got the picture box called picture box magic 8-ball. So everything I've got here is sitting there in good shape. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to run it again to make sure my form looks good. And here it comes up. It looks pretty nice. You know, 8-ball's there. It's got its question mark thing there. So we're looking pretty good here. So we can now write the code for this thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically, we want to create a click event on the picture box. And so to do that, we're going to double click on the picture box itself to create a click event. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And my code is going to come up, and it's going to create this event, Magic 8-Ball click event. So when I click on it, this is going to execute. Now, do I need anything else in here? Yeah, probably not too much. So what I'm going to do, though, I'm going to basically start. I want a question number integer. I want to set a variable for that. So I'm going to go ahead and say int, or I'm going to say question number integer. This is going to be what we're going to be using for our switch statement. So I'm going to say int answer. So that's going to be our integer that we're going to actually be using. Holds number between 0 and 19. So that's all set. We've got to there. It's not being used right now. The next thing we want to do is we want to create a random object. So we'll create a random object. How do we do that? We do that by simply saying, we did this before in the flash code generator. We used it there to generate numbers. So we've done this before. We've actually used this thing. So we're going to say random, and we're going to say, we'll call it bozo, because you can call it anything you want. And it's going to be equal to a new random. So it's got that all set in there. So now we've created the random number generator. Now we want to get that random number. So we're going to go ahead and get a random integer in the range of 0 through 19. So we've got 20 questions. 0 through 19 will be 20. And we do that by saying int answer is equal to bozo.next, and we'll put in here 20. And that's all we need to say. and put our semicolons in there. I took this out. This is going to generate a random number between 0 and 19. By saying 20, because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 19 is 20 different values that we can actually have in them. Once you've got that in there, what I want to do is I want to set my label out to true. So the visibility is true. In fact, we're going to be basically making this thing invisible. So let's go to our designer and take this and make the visibility property on here invisible, so we can't see it. We could simply do that by going on the visible property. If I can find it, and double click on it. Actually, yeah, we set the false here, so it's false now. So this will be off. We want to actually see this thing. This thing we'll leave alone because we're not going to deal with it right now. We're going to use it. So go back to our code, and what I want to do is, as soon as we generate that number, we want our integer has been set to some random number between 0 and 19. We're going to be looking. We're going to say LBL out dot visible is equal to true. So I'll turn on the label so we can actually see it. And then we're going to say LBL random dot text equals int answer dot toString with the value so we can actually see it. So we'll see that number pop up there and allow us to know which one of these guys right here we're actually grabbing when we actually pull that. So that'll put that in place. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually create our switch statement now. This could be a set of if, else, ifs if you want to have a long thing on here, but we're going to create a switch statement on here. So I'm going to actually set that out and say slash switch statement to display answer. And then we're going to actually go down here and say switch and int answer. I'm going to be looking at the integer int answer to see what it is, and then compare it against all my different cases. We'll have a set of braces here, which will be the braces for the switch statement. We'll start out with a case 0 first, because we're going to be having cases 0 through 19. We'll go in there and hit case 0. And if it is case 0, we want to say LBL out dot text is equal to, and we'll want to make this thing not 0, but our text that I've got here it is certain. And see, we're going to have problems when we try to copy paste all this kind of stuff in here, but it's in there. What we're missing here is, why do we have this the case just sitting here looking proper? Switch statement. What is my error? Cannot fall out of switch for final case label case 0. Let's see what happens if I put my break in, if I'm going to be fine on this thing. So I put that in. Now I'll say break. And we're out. Next one. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So everything was fine there. We're going to say case 1 is going to be LBL out dot text is equal to, and this is going to be it is decidedly so. Put a semicolon on the end of that thing and hit enter. And hit break. Great. It's fine. We'd like to kind of indent these things out so they look a little better. So we're going to basically backspace on this guy. And we're going to go ahead and hit enter. Here in that case should come back then, so it enters nice there. That's looking nice. So we got our case 2 is going to be coming in like this and going forward. So what I want to do now is continue with this process. So our next one is going to be case 2. And we'll go ahead and LBL out is that text is going to be equal to, and it'll be without a doubt. And put a semicolon on the back of that thing and break. Semicolon, done. Okay, so that puts it in there. So this is working out just nicely from what we're seeing at this point in time. I'm going to back this thing up a little bit so we can get in there. I'm going to get a little lazy right now, and I'm going to actually, we need 19 of these things, so I'm going to create a bunch of these. I'm just going to do a copy paste and do a Control C and pop it in here. So we can do this, and then that's 6. This will be 9. This will be 12. This will be 15. This will be 18. We got one more to do, which will be 19. That'll be our default we're going to be bringing in. So I'll come into that. So let's go back out here and just number these things now. This is going to have to be a 3. This will be a 4. This will be a 5. This will be a 6. This will be a 7. This will be an 8. This will be a 9. This is going to be a 10. Bring it up a little bit. This is going to be 11. This will be 12. This will be 13. This will be 14. This will be 15. This will be 16. This will be 17. Am I? Did I get them all right or not? Let's see. 17. Let's double check this thing. 0. Oh, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Let's put our statements in here so we got them all. I'm going to be grabbing yes, definitely for number 4. We'll see. Now we'll tag in these last ones. The 18 is going to come in right here. So we're going to do our case 18, and it'll be LBL out dot text is equal to, in this case it'll be Outlook not so good, with a semicolon tag on the end. And finally, the 19th one will actually be the default. We'll simply say default, and it'll be LBL out dot text out dot text is equal to, and this will be very doubtful, and put a semicolon on the end of that thing, and it too. And so does the one before it required the word break after this. So I need to put a break in here. There it is. And a break in here. There it is. And we should be good to go. I seem to have no errors. Looks good. I'm going to go ahead and do a file save on this thing. I'm going to run it and see what happens. There's our Magic 8-Ball program. You don't see the label. You see this little thing down here for the number, so we click on it and we get don't count on it. And number 15 pops up, so I can see that it actually went through these statements, the case statements, and picked out the number 15. Let's ask another question. Is it going to be a great year? And we got a don't count on it again. Okay, how about is it going to be? How about next year? Yes, definitely. Okay, that's cool to see. And we got number 4 popping up. Is it going to rain in the future? Most likely. Well, yeah, obviously, most likely it will in the future. And we got number 7 popping up here. So that's all showing up nicely. I can click a few more of these, and you keep on getting it. Notice it goes through all that, and it picks up the random number that's being generated is popping up there, which corresponds to the cases right in here. So what's happening at this thing is, as I do this click event, a number is being generated right here. It's popping down with the in answer, which is what this number right here. And it's showing, and then it goes down to the case. It texts it, switch, goes right down to the case it's at. Say it's a 4. It'll then say yes, definitely, and it'll break out and go out and end. And you'd be able to click on another one. We can change this now, since we, as programmers, we know that we're reading the right number now. So we can actually make this particular property right here invisible. We don't need to see it anymore. And so we'll go ahead and take the visibility on that and make it false, save our program, do a start, and now we run our program. We have the magic 8-ball, we click on it, only the word comes up. So you don't see that number anymore. Now it's ready for prime time. We can sell this thing and make a fortune. So there's our magic 8-ball, as you might have seen in the grade school playgrounds when you were a kid. Works kind of nice. And basically, it's nothing more than a case statement. We could have used if-else-ifs. We could have used all kinds of neat things in here to make this happen. But the case is kind of elegant because it allows you to follow this thing straight down and go. I can run a breakpoint out at once and see what happens. If I hit the click on here, we'll see it track through. It stops right here, hit my F11 key, and it bounced down to 10. And we'll then break and come out, and we'll see our form pop up again. Hit it again, it jumps down to the switch answer, which will run, and we'll get it's going to run the random number generator and pop through here and generate it. It's going to generate an answer, which happens to be a 19. And it's going to jump all the way down to very doubtful because it went to the default in this case and solved it. So that's it. That's what a case statement looks like. Very elegant, easy to use, clears things up. We didn't have these things. These things are, well, they're not new, but they certainly won't run around back in the COBOL days, I'll tell you that much. So that's great. That thing works. Pretty cool. You can probably see now that we could have used if-else-if statements to make this thing work. In fact, we could have used a variety of different things to make this thing work. But this is just cleaner. The switch statement really does a nice job when you have a series of different branches to take. What you need to take out of this video is, switch is a multi-alternative decision structure. It tests a single value or expression. It then executes a specific set of statements based on that expression. See you next time. Thanks for watching. If you get a chance, please subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.